Well, welcome everybody to our online program on addiction recovery from the Sunshine Coast Health Center up here in Powell River, BC. And we've been talking about different ways of interpreting addiction. And so far we've been talking about three ways. One, this article that came out recently in the Huffington Post, making an argument that the reason people become addicted is not so much the effect of the drug on the person as it is the environment. If the person doesn't feel free to be himself or herself, or if they feel isolated or alone, or an environment where they don't feel people care about them, then this has a profound effect on whether an addiction will take hold of the person. On the other hand, one of the responses to the Huffington Post article was the traditional scientific point that no, the environment may be a risk factor, but it's not the end-all and be-all of anything. What's really going on is the effect of the drug on the person's brain, and that once the drug hits the brain, it sort of hijacks the brain, rendering this person powerless over their addiction. And then this third thing, the idea of, well, what does the insider say? Because both the environment and the traditional scientific model, they kind of forget about the actual individual who's addicted and how that person makes sense of it. So this third way of looking at it is what addicts themselves have told us about why they became addicted, what the drugs did for them, what intoxication did for them, and for many, how they overcame it in the end. So we've got these three different interesting views going on. And one of the keys is we can learn from each of them. So somehow we have to figure out a way of bringing all this different research, all these different ideas together. And I can think of maybe half a dozen experts in the field who have attempted to do that. By far the most impressive is a fellow by the name of Robert West from England. And he did a very valiant attempt of not only bringing in three views, but a whole bunch of different theories, 30 of them, in fact, he tried to put. And it's a very valiant attempt, and even Robert West admits it's just a first draft. But he never really touched on this idea about the environment too much, and he never really touched on the insider's view. And then there's another fellow by the name of Orford, and he did another very fine job. But again, not really touching in all of these views that we've been talking about, the environment versus the effect of drugs on the brain versus the insider's view. And this is one of the reasons, that at the center we promote this idea of personal meaning, because personal meaning appears to be capable of bringing together the research from these different ways of thinking about things. So if we have the environment, we will say, yes, I think we all agree the environment is profoundly important. Is it the only thing? No, it's not. So we're not going to reduce it down to the environment, but the environment is profoundly important. The brain chemistry, the effects of the drug on the brain, is it having an effect on the brain? Well, of course it is. I think that's obvious. Is the brain chemistry the end-all and be-all of addiction? I think you would really struggle to make that case, that maybe there's something else going on. And what about the insider's perspective? Well, meaning is always about personal meaning. It demands that you bring in the insider's perspective and what the addict believes is going on for him. So maybe this idea of personal meaning offers some hope that we can bring together all these different ideas, all these different interpretations of addiction. So rather than saying, well, I'm right and you're wrong, or that kind of idea, maybe if we found a way to bring in everything, all this would be very useful to us, because we can't deny that the research exists and that it's pretty solid. So it's important to be able to account for all of it. At any rate, just back to Frankl, of course, that addiction is a response to living a life that lacks personal meaning. Maybe there's some real credibility in that, and some real usefulness that we can use to help people suffering from addiction. Anyway, that's it for this online program, and we'll be back next time with a new topic.